KW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues here on 104.5 The Zone with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. Pleased to be joined, as we are every Tuesday at 8:20, by Austin Price of Volquest and On 3. Austin, how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing great, guys. Good morning to you all.
Morning.
Austin, what did you learn? What impressed you the most about Tennessee's win in Norman over the weekend?
Do you want me to answer it the way I answered that in the Monday night chat last night?
Yes, I do, because I was just chuckling at that in this last break.
I learned that you're only allowed to get one cookie at halftime, as per the media relations people at Oklahoma. They announced it over the intercom. On the field, I learned that Josh Heupel is maturing as a coach. The way they were able to, kind of adapt their plan, in the second half, and understand that the only way they were going to lose that game was by, self-inflicted wounds as far as turnovers, and to not continue to drop back and just kind of play field position, punt away, and lean on your defense. I think that was, very mature, and honestly, I know fans don't grasp it because they want them to wing it down the field, but the biggest thing is to win the football game, and I think Josh Heupel got to the second half and said, we're not losing if we just take care of the football. You go into that first half twice, bad pass protection, whether it be by running backs or the offensive line, led to 2 fumbles. And both times Tennessee got lucky to get the ball back after Oklahoma had recovered. Tennessee's defense stepped up and forced turnovers in their own right. I think that's basically what was going through Coach Heupel's mind when he kind of adapted the game plan there in the second half.
Austin Price of Volquest, our guest, at Austin Priceless on Twitter. Austin, 27 guys played on defense. Only 7 of them played more than 50 snaps in the game. What did you learn about the depth on defense? I know Jackson Moy gets in there. You've got Joshua Josephs, obviously, but guys like Jason Jenkins, who had 1.5 tackles for loss and a sack and just 7 snaps of action. Who impressed you most out of that group that you feel like is playing their way into more prominent roles?
Well, Jenkins definitely took advantage of his snaps. Tennessee's will rotate a lot of bodies. Rodney Gardner's been doing that since he's been here. So, they have a deeper defense than they've had, and Coach Inge is rotating kind of like Coach Brian Jean-Marie did last year. The rotation in the back end, though, is something I think that, is kind of new. And, I thought Jackson Moy was fantastic. Josh Josephs played well. I think, James Pierce is or pressing a little bit too much right now. And I think that you've seen him, be a little frustrated when he's come so close and the guys got away. He did get half a sack the other night. I think if he'll just kind of relax, I think, a lot more are going to come. I think there's so much pressure because, all that, season, off-season talk about number 1 pick in the draft and this and that. I think he's like, well, I've got to live up to that, and I think, he's still altering the game even if he's not getting home. And I think that goes a long way to him having, more success, the back part of the season or the last 2/3 of the season. Just kind of playing free and not, putting so much pressure on yourself to, think you've got to have 1 or 2 sacks a game.
And that's the thing about it is other players are making up for him. We discussed him a little bit earlier, Austin. Austin Price is with us this morning. But I don't know if we've seen a more physical guy than Jacoby Thomas right now. Where and how did he incorporate this style of play in this Tim Banks offense? Because he's been laying dudes out.
Yeah, I mean, that's he's taking advantage of his 20 snaps a game. I mean, he's not playing as much as some of the other guys, in the secondary. But when he gets in there, Ramon, I mean, out of those 20 snaps, I mean, he's trying to erase somebody 18 of them. I mean, he brings such a physical nature to the position, and I think I was talking to Dante Thornton last night, and he kind of said, he goes, he just has no regard for his own body. I mean, he tries to kill you, and I think that he's probably got to play a little bit smarter because they need him to hold up, right? They don't need him getting, he got kind of dinged up a couple of weeks ago, and luckily it wasn't anything too serious. But I think the time and place for lighting somebody up, I think he's trying to get downhill and knock somebody out on nearly every play.
I ain't gonna lie, I love seeing it though, man. For the people that say football is soft, no, just watch your Kobe Thomas is all I would tell them. Okay. Also, this too, going on the road, got to give a strong tip of the cap and buy him a drink because you can in today's college football to Big Larry Johnson, Dane Davis, and Coach Glenn Ellaby to go on the road and piece that together after not having Lance Hurd and losing John Campbell. Man, what do you say about that trio that put a good enough product out there to win in Norman this past weekend?
Yeah, they gutted through it. Did they play great football? No, but I mean they masked it and did a nice job of doing just enough. Again, they got to continue to work the depth at that position. I think somebody like Jesse Perry's got to continue to come along. Bennett Warren, Tennessee, I don't think can hold up the whole season doing what they did the other night, but they really hold up for the other night. So, I think they've got to get Hurd back. They've got to get Campbell as healthy as you can. I think his little kind of burst the sack injury on the back part of his leg that they have to drain routinely. I think that's going to be something that will slow him down a little bit all year, but they've got to get him as healthy as they can. He's got to play more than he's been playing, and Hurd's got to get back out on the field.
Austin Price joining us as he does every Tuesday here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. You can check his work out on Volquest on 3. So Brew McCoy, great showing for him this past weekend. Austin, how big was it for a guy who's dealt with injuries and the fan base is so behind him, but to get out there and kind of showcase that he's probably at least the number 2 on the roster or in the receiver room?
Yeah, I mean, Brew's an older guy. He's worked hard to get back. I mean, he's probably in the best shape he's ever been in. He kind of just shredded himself this offseason. I mean, he's ripped. I mean, he's all muscle, and he's got his explosiveness back, and looked good the other night. Obviously, he's got a little bit of Jawan Jennings to his game from a standpoint of once he catches the ball, he's so tough to tackle on first contact, and he's somebody that I think Nico's going to naturally look for every time he drops back, because I think there's a real rapport there. And let's face it, Nico kind of looked up to Brew, and when Nico was a younger player, Brew was a senior there at Modern Day. He knew exactly who Brew McCoy was, and there's a fondness there for number 5. So it's good to see. And again, they'll need him to play that way the rest of the year. And they need Chris Brazel to step up. They need Dante Thornton to keep giving them what he's given them, and then continue to work in those guys in the slot.
From one McCoy on offense to the other on defense, and what a great pickup from the transfer portal with the former Oregon State cornerback Jermod McCoy. What has he been able to do early on in this defense that kind of shows you just how much he can boast up that secondary?
Yeah, I like both he and Ricky Gibson. I think Tennessee's pretty elite at corner. Which is, we've not been able to say that in a long time. And they're long, they're athletic. McCoy's a smart football player, and you look at what he did at Oregon State, and some of the accolades he got in the postseason there last year for a Beaver team that was really pretty solid, and he's picked right up where he left off here, and has been really good through the first 4 weeks, and just plays the ball well and is always in position, and it makes it hard for other teams to throw his way. They've tested him a few times, and he always passes the test. So you're right. It was a tremendous pickup, a great eval, and a great job of Tennessee, being able to convince a Texas kid who went to Oregon State and had a chance to go back to Texas A&M to come to Tennessee instead. Do not go to the home state school. Come to Tennessee. I mean, it's a big get.
Austin Price of Volquest, our guest. Austin, how big of a surprise was it with Lance Hurd popping up on the injury report and not being available over the weekend? And what is his status, you think, moving forward as Tennessee takes a bye week and gets ready for Arkansas?
Well, most people in the program thought he was going to be good to go, and then he didn't even make the travel roster. So they'll need to get him back. They need him out there, and they need him for depth, and obviously he's your starting left tackle. So I'd be surprised if he didn't play a week from now at Arkansas. But I think some people, and myself included, were surprised that he didn't even at least try to go give it a go for the game in Oklahoma. But I think the absence makes the heart grow fonder sometimes. So I think sitting at the house watching that game, realizing that he could probably help, I think that'll get a little fire under him. I think he'll be good to go next week.
You said that, and I had to steal it from Will real quick. Was that strategic? Says, hey, if you can't play, then you can't travel, or is that standard, Austin?
No, I won't say that that's standard. I think I feel like you could go. I think a lot of kids sometimes will at least go out and test it. For whatever reason, they didn't want to wait till Saturday to test it. He stayed home, and again, I think he was quick to make sure and post a graphic on the Instagram story as soon as the game went by. He was watching the game. So, I mean, again, I think that you hope that it kind of lights a fire under him that he missed, and he got basically have about 4 weeks between when he played and got hurt against NC State with the ankle, and when Tennessee plays at Arkansas, which is ample time to get yourself healthy.
Austin, I know Steve Wiltfong of On3 yesterday writing in his Wiltfong Riparound about Tennessee commit Douglas Utu and the On3 RPM projecting him to flip to Oregon. What is the latest in that commitment, and how much is Tennessee trying and efforting to keep him in the boat for the class of 2025?
Well, they'd love to make sure he doesn't flip, but it certainly feels like it's a matter of when and not if. Pertaining to Doug Utu, I mean that's one that I'm not sure. Sometimes you get a kid and a team tries to flip him, and there's nothing they can do, and then sometimes there's nothing you can do. And I think this is one of those instances. I don't think there's anything Tennessee can do. I think that this one's destined to end up a Duck, kind of like Deshaun Brain was destined to end up a Vol and not a Duck. So I think sometimes the portal, or not the portal because it's not a transfer, but recruiting giveth, recruiting taketh away. That's kind of welcome to modern college football, or really just college football in general, because kids been doing this forever anyway. Before there was NIL.
Austin, with recruiting these days, man, I saw other fan bases this past weekend just talking about, I don't know if there's a hotter brand in college football than what the Vols got going on with Morgan Wallen doing 2 big shows and Neyland. Other fan base was just acknowledging, I don't think anybody's touching what they got going on. But what was shocking to me is you had a quarterback wearing 16 in full uniform and Peyton Manning. I also, and I'm going to give it back to you, but I had somebody tell me their daughter went to it and said that is the best concert and night they've ever had in their life. And if they died today, they wouldn't miss the rest of their years, Austin. How big of an event was it? And what do you say about what Morgan Wallen doing bringing those guys out?
Well, no offense to whoever said that, but, it was, while a great concert, I can name a lot of things in my life I still want to get accomplished. I want to have accomplished it all watching Morgan Wallen. But yeah, it was a fantastic scene, fantastic, performance by him. He killed it both nights. Took my daughter on Sunday night when I got back from Norman, and she had a blast. And I think somebody said it to me, and I think it's probably pretty accurate. Like Peyton, they kind of hypothesized that Peyton didn't really know how to do the serious, just kind of flank Morgan Wallen and walk out. And so he put the jersey on to kind of, give him, a reason to kind of, have something to do when they're walking out. And Peyton also is very comfortable in his own skin and doesn't mind, to kind of put himself out there. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, the thing that kept, coming to me was from everybody was like, oh my gosh, he's wearing his old school face mask. Like this get up he had on was, I mean, to the T what he wore back in the mid '90s. And I thought it looked awesome. I was shocked that, that they put him, that somebody convinced him to do that. But at the same time, if you know Peyton a little bit, I mean, his ability to host the ESPYs, host Saturday Night Live, kind of be, out there for people to kind of laugh at or have fun with, it doesn't bother him. And I thought it was awesome. I thought it was fantastic. I thought Brew McCoy and Nico, obviously, I'm not sure Nico knew who Morgan Wallen was.
Yeah.
He was there.
He was there, right?
Agreed.
And then Coach Heupel, at one point, I think Morgan kind of slapped Coach Heupel on the chest and at least got him to smile. Like, Josh is so, serious.
Yeah.
And so, but it was fantastic. The baseball walkout on Friday night was equally as special, and just a great job and a great atmosphere. And you're right. I mean, it was a big weekend on the whole for Tennessee athletics when you look at kind of what, happened here on Friday and Sunday, and then, of course, what Tennessee got done on Saturday night in Norman, Oklahoma.
Well, and that's what's, great about winning. And, when you're winning and when things are going right, and nowadays when you're trying to recruit in whatever sport you're trying to recruit in, and you can have your coaches go out there and have some fun on a national stage, there's a lot of eyes that were on those tweets and those, social media posts. I would assume this is only going to help continue to build at Tennessee, because when you win and then you're able to do stuff like this on top of it, I mean, how are you losing in that situation, right?
Yeah, that's right. And, I think with Danny White as the AD, I think you'll see Neyland be more of a venue. I mean, I don't think he's just going to just let anybody go into Neyland, but I think Neyland will be more of a venue for concerts, and probably not during football season. I think this was more of a rarity, but I think when you look at, early spring through summertime, I think there's a real option there for Tennessee to host some concerts at Neyland going forward. I don't think this was, we've started to see this a little more frequently at Garth, 4 or 5 years ago, which brought us that dreadful third or fourth quarter song that we get. But now you've seen Morgan Wallen. Of course, Kenny did it 20-something years ago. Yeah. And so I do think that, you'll start to see that. And again, it's one of those things where I think Tennessee as a brand overall, baseball, football, basketball, and all the other sports, really hot. And then, of course, Tennessee's, got a few country music stars from right around this area, and, with Kelsey Ballerini and, obviously Kenny Chesney and now Morgan Wallen. So, you never know who's next. Maybe Will Bowling will break out and be a big star.
Hey,
That's what I'm talking about.
That'd be fun.
Or Ramon Foster.
Austin,
I just need Glorilla.
Well, I'll ask, though, that you brought up the end of third quarter song. Does Danny White know how much a lot of the fan base does it like this? Is there any consideration for the Stroke by Billy Squier, which was Billy Amick's walk-up song, or something else? Is the university talking about that at all? Or are they married to friends in low places?
They're not married to it.
Okay.
I think had Tennessee held on at Alabama last year, I think there was probably going to be just a straight we're taking Dixieland Delight, and that's going to be our deal. But Tennessee didn't win that game, and so I think that they paused to not do that. But again, I think they want to find, if they're going to move off of it, they want to find the right song to stick to. They don't want to bounce around, and I think that's probably where they're at, is trying to figure out what is the right song. I know some fans want Copperhead Road. I'm not a big fan of that either.
Agreed.
So, I think, again, you're looking for the right fit and, fan interaction and all that stuff. And as Brent Hubbs will tell you, what do you want it to be? Do you want it to be energetic and heavy going? Do you want it to be, do you want it to be a sing-along? What do you want out of that song? And again, I think the biggest thing is finding the right fit before they pull the plug.
I want Nobody Needs Nobody by Player Fly, but that's just me. It's an anthem. You know how many times I sung that on campus parties, Austin? Nobody's ever heard it but me and a few other degenerates I know, but I'd love to have that one be our anthem.
Maybe the head coach of the Patriots?
Yeah. Maybe the head coach of the Patriots, man.
Oh, man. Austin Price with us this morning. Austin, great stuff as always, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Oz.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
There's Austin Price.
Nobody needs
He's
nobody.
probably like, what is Ramon talking about?
It was. I know. I wanted to put him in a corner right there, too. That is an anthem, okay? A sing-along on top of just gas.
I will say, being in Knoxville over the weekend, just on Sunday, the energy in that place right now is unlike anything that I have seen in my life as a Tennessee fan. I was a Tennessee fan the second I was born. And I'm telling you, it has never been like this that I can remember, ever.
No.
In that city.
When you win, things feel good.
I mean, we're doing like VOLS chants in between songs at Morgan Wallen concert. You just walk around downtown. People got their chest puffed out.
Sure.
They look at you like you're a winner. You know, it's just, it's hard to put your finger on. And you don't win championships on vibes. You don't win championships based on fans feeling good. You don't win championships on confidence and leadership and all these nebulous things we like to talk about. But there is a value to it. And I can't give you a point total of how much it matters. I can't tell you how much it really makes a difference, but I can just tell you that it makes a difference. The energy in that campus right now, it is unbelievable. It is unlike anything I've seen. And I've not been alive that long, but it is unlike anything that I've seen in my short stay here on God's green earth.
It's epic. I remember taking recruiting visits before, I committed and everything. It was rocking then. 0203 was rocking then.
It was. 100% was.
It was. And I think this is there plus more. Because of so many eyes and social media, et cetera,
Yeah, it's 20 times more, right?
615-737-1045. Coming up, Vanderbilt going to Missouri, doing some things. And we may get an early visit from Ron Slay today. That's the rumor. That's the word on the street. The street being the F&M Bank Chat. That's next. What's going on? It is Will Bowling. I've got to tell you, over the weekend, I was at Whataburger up in Mount Juliet. Guys, it absolutely hit the spot. Coming off of a high school football game, of course, Whataburger, a proud sponsor of high school football coverage here on The Zone. I went there and I got my favorite, the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich with fries, the Dr. Pepper shake. It was phenomenal. And the great news was it was late at night. It was after a football game. They were open. That's right. It's because Whataburger is open 24/7, 364 days a year. Just closed on Christmas, so don't go see them then. But every other day of the year, they have got you covered. And my good